Okay, I want to show now how you can download WordPress and use Dreamweaver to install it in your own URL. In this case, we're going to use one off of a server called Atlantis, and then how you can configure Dreamweaver. So let's start at wordpress.org/download/. So you can just search WordPress download, and that will get you to this address. And you will also find download WordPress 3.31, which is the latest version as of today, right here. So I just click on that, which I've already done, and that will download it to my downloads folder. And so what I did was I moved it to my WordPress. I've got my WordPress folder here, and it created a zip file. So I took that zip file and I put it right here, and I double clicked it and said to extract all files. So let me go ahead and double click it again so you can see that. And then I just click on this extract all files. But since I've already done that, we don't have to do that again. When it extracted all files, it made me a folder called WordPress-331. So I click on that, double click it. Now you can see the WordPress folder it made for me. And if I double click on WordPress, here's all my WordPress content. So I'm just going to go back one step, and this is what I want to upload to my site. Okay. So what I'm going to do, just to try to be clear, is I'm going to copy this so I can keep this around. And under my WordPress, which is kind of my working area, I'm going to make a new folder so you guys can see how to make a site folder in Dreamweaver. So I'm going to start a new folder, and you would do this wherever you want to do it, wherever you want to set up your site. I'm going to call this WordPress site. Okay, and I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to paste all that WordPress content in there. It'll take a minute because there's 10 megabytes of data there. And we'll understand how this site works a little bit better in just a minute. So what I've got is a folder called WordPress site. Inside of WordPress site, I've got WordPress. Inside of WordPress, I've got all the WordPress content. For example, WP admin, WP content, and WP includes, and index, which is our first page. More about that later. Now we're going to go to Dreamweaver. Now here I'm in Dreamweaver, and normally we would create a new HTML file or open an existing file, and we normally just use Dreamweaver for dealing with HTML and CSS. However, this time I'm going to use it to create a site. Okay, so I'm going to say site, new site. Okay, what do I want to call this site? I want to call it WordPress site. Okay, and for local site folder, I want to go find on my computer a folder called My WordPress, and then there's one called WordPress site. That's it, and I'm going to select that. So you can see that it's selected WordPress site as my folder also. Now the names of this folder and the site name are not that important. The thing that is important is that you don't actually choose your WordPress folder. We're just picking the site, the folder that the WordPress folder is in. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Now I'm going to go to servers, and we're going to create a new server by hitting the plus, which is add new server. Okay, so the first thing is the server in this case is going to be called Atlantis. It's just one that we have access to for this class, and connect using SFTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol. Now, before I forget, port should be 2244. And SFT address should be atlantis.cse.kau.se or whatever you want to use for your address. Username should be In this case, I'm going to use this, whatever my username is, and password. I've got a password. I'll just paste in here also. And I'm going to choose from my root directory public_HTML. That's usually the root directory for any website. And then the web URL was just taken from right here. Sometimes more stuff can be added to this, and you may have to sometimes delete that. I don't think in this case it's an issue. And we'll just say test. We'll click on test. And it says Dreamweaver connected to your web server successfully. So I know it worked. So I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to say save. And I'm going to do save again. And now it has to think a little bit. It's updating the site cache. And once that's done, what we're going to do is upload WordPress to our site. Now, I just realized something. When I recorded this the first time, you may not have seen where I found site. So let me just show you that here. Site. New site. That's where I did that. Site, new site. Or site, manage sites. And there it is. So if you want to go in and see your site or manage your site, just go to site, new site or manage site, and there it is. You can do new or you can do edit. I'm going to do edit. And there it is, our WordPress site. And that looks good. And we can go to servers and double click it and get right in and edit it if we need to, or test it. And but we're all done, so we can say cancel and we can say done. Now I want to go to my folder again. Oh, actually we can do this next part from Dreamweaver. The next thing we're going to do is using the files panel. So let me just get rid of the files panel. So I'm going to do a close tab group. You'll notice that it's gone now. And I'm going to bring it back. Window, files. Okay, so when I bring back files, it brings back this. And this allows me to do several things. The simplest way to explain this is that, first of all, you can have more than one site. I've got one called My Site, and I've got one called WordPress Site. So I'm going to click on WordPress Site. That should be the default anyway, because it's the last site we made. And here is the stuff that's in the WordPress site. Notice we have a folder called WordPress. If you don't have it like mine, if you don't have access to a folder called WordPress, you may have set up your site incorrectly. That means I have to go back here and show you this again. Notice I have a folder called WordPress site here, right here. Double click it, WordPress is in it. The WordPress folder is in it. Double click WordPress and you're right into the real content of WordPress. For example, you have access to the WP content folder. That's the way we want to set this up. So now back to Dreamweaver and back to this files panel. If I go to the right side of this files panel, you'll see a little button that says expand to show local and remote sites. This is a really handy interface. Now, it can freak some people out though the first time they do it, because everything that they're used to has gone away. Let me fix something here. Just want to make this fit a little better for you. Okay. So this is the little button that is the toggle between the normal state of Dreamweaver and the expanded local and remote sites right here. So just kind of get used to that button. That's the toggle. Now, the first thing you'll notice here is we got local files and remote server. So this is all of our local files. Notice that in our WordPress site we have the WordPress folder, and then we have WP content and all that other stuff. So if you don't have the stuff here in your site, you're not going to be able to upload it over here. Now on this side we have remote server, but you can see there's no files here. It says To see your remote files, click the Connect button on the toolbar. So I'm going to click on this Connect to Remote Host button and connect those two little connectors, those blue connectors. Now we can see into our public HTML folder. Okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to upload my stuff. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. Normally, you can click right on this folder and you can just put the file to Atlantis or whatever your server is. Or you can get files from Atlantis if you want to pull stuff back down. But what I'm going to do is just grab this folder, and I like to drag and drop. So I'm just going to grab this whole folder, this WordPress folder, and drag it right on public HTML. Now it's going to come up with a question. Do you want to put dependent files? What that means is if you upload this whole folder or whatever file you pick, and there are other files like images that should go along with it, it'll move those for you. Normally it doesn't matter because you're already selecting the stuff you want. But if you want to, go ahead and click yes, and it'll just take everything. And just to explain that last thing, while this upload is taking place, because this takes a few minutes, let's say you upload an HTML file called index, and the index has an image called test in it, and you upload index.html, but you forgot to upload test.jpg. Well, that last dialog that says, do you want to include dependent images, it would go ahead and grab that image for you in case you forgot. Okay, so what it's doing is it's putting all this content, this WordPress folder and all the stuff that's in it, into the public HTML folder on the web server. And I'm going to pause this for a minute so that we don't have to sit and wait and watch this upload. Okay, so now it's all uploaded. Now let's go see how the installation works. Or is it thinking still? Hang on just a second. Let's just find out. Oh, it's still working. Pause again. Okay, looks like we're done here. You can see WordPress has been installed here on the left side, and everything looks good. Let's see if we can go find it now. So over to Firefox again, and let's open up a new tab, and we're going to go to http://atlantis.cse.ku.se/ and now I'm going to do a tilde, and I have to do it twice on these Swedish keyboards, and then it comes up once, or I backspace it out. That's a little curly key. It may take a while to find it. I use the Alt-GR key and the key to the left of the Enter or Return key to make that happen. And then it's the name of your password, not your password, your username. And then WordPress. And let's do one more thing here. Yeah. And that'll just bring us into WordPress. And I'm going to hit return. And it didn't find it, so let's find out what we did wrong. Got the tilde, MS12, culture, student, and I've got the wrong number here. And return. Okay, just did a check, and it's I got the name wrong, so I'm just going to redo it. And now it says there doesn't seem to be a wp-config PHP file. I need this before we can get started. Need more help? We got it. Okay. You can create a wp config file through the web interface, but this doesn't work for all server setups. The safest way is to manually create the file. I'm going to go ahead and create the configuration file since we're just doing it for a class. And it says to do this properly, we're going to need a database name, database password, database host, and table prefix. So we're going to take all that, and it gives you a little bit of information here. We're going to skip and hit Let's Go. And the database name is the same as your username. And same thing here. Now it's going to vary from server to server, but for this class, this is what it'll be. Database name and username are the same. Password will be the same as your password you've been given. And I will just put mine in. I'll put the password in a minute. And the database host will be localhost. You can leave that. And the table prefix can be WP. I'm going to go ahead and put in the password and then click Submit. And we'll do that off screen so that we don't have to compromise our passwords. Alright, this is the next thing you'll see. Alright, Sparky, you've made it through this part of the installation. Now we can communicate and run the install, and let's do that. Click on Run the Install. Information needed. It needs a site name. I'm going to call it whatever. You can change the name later, and the username is going to be, for now, admin, although for security reasons you may want to change that on a real site. But for a class, it's okay. And then the password, this is going to be your unique password to WordPress. So I recommend that you do something that's that you can remember, and something you can remember, and write it down somewhere because you'll probably forget it. But don't make it too complex because, again, we're just in a class here. In your email. Okay. And allow my site to appear in search engines like Google? No. This is just for a class, and install WordPress. Would you like to update the saved password for admin? No. And now I'm ready to log in. So I'm going to click on Login. And now I better remember my password and my username. So my username in this case is admin, and my password is that. Then I'll click on Login. And now I'm into WordPress. And just a few basics about WordPress. This is the dashboard. This is where you can, let me dismiss this button here. You may want to read this on your own, but I'm going to dismiss it. It talks about some things you can do. I'm going to dismiss, and this is the dashboard where you can add posts, you can add categories, you can add media, you can add pages, change the appearance, and so forth. Talk about that later. For now, just so you can see what the site looks like right now, I can go to Culture Course, which is the name of this site, and I can click on Visit Site, or I could right-click and say Open Link in New Tab. So now I have the actual site here. This is what it looks like by default. This is probably still using the 2011 default theme. We don't really have any good content yet, just the Hello World content that they made for us in a sample page. So that's it. That's how we download and install WordPress.